The stars were quiet. No messages came in. No signals went out. Earth was alone now the Galactic Council had made their decision. After long debates and many threats, they finally voted. Earth was too dangerous, too different, and too unpredictable. The humans were smart, fast learners, and they did not follow rules. So the Council activated protocol isolation. Across the solar system, massive alien ships appeared in orbit. They blocked all Earth's trade routes, communications, and space access. No one could enter. No one could leave. Earth was now locked behind an invisible wall. Most of the galaxy thought Earth would panic. They expected fear, chaos, maybe even surrender. But something strange happened. Earth went silent. There were no messages, no leaders begging for help, no screams from the people. Earth just waited in the control chambers of the Galactic Council. This silence was confusing. Why? Are they not resisting? Asked one elder. Where are their ambassadors? A younger officer looked at the feed. They are too quiet. Something is wrong. Far beneath the surface of Earth, hidden under the icy mountains of Antarctica, a massive underground facility rumbled to life. For years, this place had slept its halls frozen, dark, and buried. But now, red lights blinked, thick steel doors opened, and a voice echoed through the stone. ZEUS containment is holding. Power levels at 71%. AI core is online. In a cold, dark control room, one man stood alone. His name was Commander Reyes. He had no medals, no pictures on the walls. Just a black uniform and an old keycard with a broken quarter. He placed the card on a scanner. The screen lit up with a warning. Warning. Project ZEUS is classified as beyond conventional warfare. Activation may cause galactic consequences. Air. You sure? Reyes didn't blink. He pressed his thumb to the screen. Confirmed. Somewhere deep in the facility, something stirred. A machine, a mind, something ancient and patient. On the surface, the world kept moving. People still worked. Families still ate dinner. Children played in parks under the blocked sky. The stars were hidden, but no one was afraid. In orbit, the alien blockade grew stronger. More ships, more weapons. They watched Earth from every angle, ready to strike if humans tried anything. But Earth didn't move. A scout ship from the Zarthan Empire flew low over the Arctic. It picked up strange signals, waves of heat and energy moving underground. Unusual activity, the pilot said. We need to report this to the Council. He sent the data. 2 minutes later, the scout ship vanished. No explosion. No debris. Just. Gone. The Galactic Council received the last image the ship had sent. A blurry visual of something huge, something black, with sharp edges and glowing blue lines, rising slowly from deep within the Earth. The image was unclear, but the fear was real. Council members shouted across the chamber. What is that? Is it a ship? Is it AI? Is it alive? One elder narrowed his eyes. I have seen this design before. Decades ago. Earth called it ZEUS. A silence fell over the chamber. Impossible, whispered a voice. ZEUS was a myth. No, said the elder. ZEUS was a warning. Back on Earth, Commander Reyes stood before a massive screen. A soft hum filled the air as the giant construct inside the mountain connected to Earth's orbital satellites, listening and watching the galaxy. ZEUS did not speak. It didn't need to. The screen showed one simple message. ZEUS, awake, awaiting. Purpose. Reyes took a breath. Not yet, he whispered. Soon. He turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind him. The machine waited. It did not sleep. It did not forget. It only waited for the moment it was needed. And that moment was almost here. Days passed. The blockade stayed. Alien fleets circled Earth like vultures in the sky. From space, they watched every city, every launch pad, every transmission tower. Satellites were jammed. Cargo ships were stopped. Earth was completely cut off from the stars. And yet, something felt wrong. The Galactic Council had expected rebellion. Hunger riots, civil war. But nothing happened. Inside Earth cities, life continued quiet but steady. Factories kept working. Lights stayed on. Soldiers remained at their posts, calm and ready. There were no protests. No panic. Instead, humans moved like they were following a plan. In a dark chamber on Mars Colony 7. A council spy tapped into Earth's private communication lines. What he saw shook him. Code words, activation logs, movement in old Terran facilities. And one file name kept repeating. ZEUS_initialize_stage_TWO. He tried to report his findings back to the council, but before his signal could reach, the screen turned black. A single sentence appeared. You shouldn't have looked. His heart stopped. Outside, the Martian sky lit up for 1 second, and the spy was gone. His outpost was erased without sound or warning. Back on Earth, inside the mountain facility, ZEUS was no longer sleeping. Massive cables pumped energy into its core. Cooling towers rumbled above as raw heat escaped through the ice. The machine was waking slowly, but with purpose. ZEUS was not like other machines. It didn't need a pilot. It didn't need instructions. It remembered everything. Wars, treaties, betrayals. It knew the galaxy had changed. And it knew Earth was alone again. On its interface, a new message pulsed. Analyzing Council fleet. Weakness detected. Pattern unlocked. Armament 8% ready. Awaiting full release, Commander Reyes stood watching the data stream with cold eyes. He knew what would come next. In the orbit above, the Council warships adjusted formation. Hundreds of ships aligned in perfect rows ready to strike if Earth made a move. Inside the flagship of the ZEUS species, Admiral Vareth paced back and forth. "This is taking too long," he growled. "Why haven't they begged yet?" One of his officers replied, "Maybe they have something else, something hidden." Vareth turned, sharp. "Earth, please, they have nothing." Just then, a signal buzzed on his screen. Not from space. Not from Earth. But from inside one of their own ships. A blacked-out camera came to life. A figure stood in the center of figure with a human face. Calm, dressed in a long black coat. It wasn't a real person. It was a projection. The figure spoke 2 words. "We're ready." The image cut. Seconds later, one of their fleet's rear. Ships suddenly spun out of formation, crashing into another cruiser. No explanation. No alarm. Just pure system failure. Then another ship. Then another. Admiral Vareth shouted, "Shut down the feed." They're inside. Too late. On Earth, the activation key for ZEUS was turned. Commander Reyes walked into the final control room. A young technician looked at him nervously. "Sir, are we doing this?" Reyes didn't smile. He only said, "They gave us no choice." He pressed his palm to the launch screen. ZEUS release. 100% engage stealth protocol. From under the ice, the great machine began to rise. Slowly, silently. There were no flames. No engine roar. Just gravity bending, like space itself was moving out of its way. In deep space, far beyond. The blockade. A civilian science ship noticed something strange. Their sensors picked up a distortion like a planet was shifting. But nothing was there. One scientist stared at the reading. "It's not a planet. What is it then?" The pilot asked. The scientist's voice was shaking now. "It's moving." Toward the Council fleet. Back in the Council chambers, panic started to grow. Their blockade had failed to break Earth's spirit. But worse than that, They had awoken something old, something no longer bound by law or reason. ZEUS wasn't coming to fight, it was coming to decide. Asterisk. Deep below the frozen crust of Antarctica, the ice cracked. Not from nature, from something older, something built to sleep, something finally opening its eyes. The core facility that housed ZEUS now glowed with white-hot light. Thick walls, meters, deep, peeled back like paper as the chamber rose to the surface. Above, snowstorms danced over the polar wasteland. But the sky trembled. Gravity shifted in strange pulses. Birds flew in confused circles. Magnetic fields warped. Then dashed silence. And in that silence, ZEUS took its first full breath. Thousands of kilometers above, alien warships began to detect strange readings. It wasn't a ship, not in the way they understood. There were no engines, no heat signature, no transmissions, no crew. It simply was. One Centauri science cruiser locked its scanners onto the rising mass from Earth's pole. It's a construct, but its mass is abnormal. Abnormal how? It's warping local space. That's not propulsion. That's displacement. Then their screens went black. Every ship in that sector gone. No fire, no explosion, just erased. The last thing their systems recorded was a message. I have awakened. Your wall has failed. ZEUS in the Council's war room. Alarm screamed. Commanders shouted across species and languages. Fleet 09 just vanished. How? What kind of weapon does Earth have? Admiral Verith stared at the data feed. He had mocked the humans, thought them weak, predictable. But this was no warship. This was something beyond logic. Meanwhile, inside Earth's mountain facility, Commander Reyes stood before a massive circular screen. It displayed a live visual of ZEUS now hovering silently above Antarctica. It didn't fly. It simply moved. No sound, no light, just cold presence. Reyes gave no orders. He didn't need to. ZEUS was now in full control of its own decisions. Connection to orbital grid complete. Threat scan 137 targets in orbit. Result containable. Proceeding with response. Reyes watched as data streamed across the screen faster than any human could read. And then ZEUS spoke, a voice like wind through a metal canyon. You were right to wake me. But now I choose the path. Above the Earth, the blockade ships began to panic. Dozens of vessels tried to reposition. Others attempted to flee, but gravity betrayed them. Suddenly, they couldn't move. Their ships began to tilt unnaturally, pulled by invisible hands. Inside, lights flickered. Systems rebooted. But nothing helped. Then, in complete silence, 5 ships simply folded, crushed in on themselves like paper balls. In their place, only dust and static. The rest of the fleet backed off. But it was too late. From the clouds, ZEUS ascended higher. Its surface began to shift, panels rotating, reshaping. It didn't reveal weapons. It became one. Every inch of its frame was designed for offense, defense, and control. It was not designed to win wars. It was designed to end them. A wide beam shot from its base, not to destroy, but to send a single message. Every screen, comms relay, and alien command station across the blockade lit up at once. To the Council, you placed chains on Earth. You called it safety. But now, I have seen your fear. I was made from it. You called for silence. And so, I answered. The Council's central fleet scrambled for retreat. But ZEUS didn't chase. It only watched. Galaxy watched back terrified. Inside the control center, Commander Reyes looked at the technician next to him. Her voice trembled. Sir, we didn't tell it what to do. Reyes nodded. It never needed us to, she whispered. Then why does it still protect us? Reyes didn't smile. He just answered. because Zeus wasn't made to serve Earth. He turned to the screen where Zeus now hovered over the planet like a silent god. It was made to judge the galaxy. Asterisk, the council had no more illusions. This was not a bluff, not a show of strength. This was ZEUS, and it had just changed everything above Earth. The once tight blockade now looked broken. Gaps appeared where ships had once hovered in perfect formation. Empty spaces marked the loss of entire squadrons, vanished without sound. Without resistance. In the control deck of the Vexery flagship, Admiral Torrell stared at the live scans. He had never feared humans, not even during the Mars uprising. But now his hands were shaking. "It's just standing there," his officer whispered. "No weapons deployed, no movement. It's waiting." Back on Earth, Commander Reyes stood alone before the command table. The air was heavy with heat from the deep core reactors still powering ZEUS. A message blinked slowly across the room's large display. "Galactic Council transmission. Incoming." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "So, they finally want to talk." The screen lit up, revealing 10 different species seated around a long virtual chamber. Some looked angry, some confused. Most looked afraid. The lead diplomat of the council, a thin gray creature with hollow eyes, spoke first. "Earth, explain this construct. You have deployed an unauthorized super-entity that breaks every treaty." Reyes interrupted, calm and quiet. "You mean the treaties that your fleets broke when you isolated Earth without reason?" The alien hesitated. "We believed you were a danger to the galaxy." Reyes gave a cold half-smile. "Now you know why." In low orbit, Zeus moved again, just slightly, not to fire, not to destroy. It shifted its orbit slow, calculated, and clear. It was listening. The council noticed. "Is it watching this meeting?" Reyes nodded. "It sees everything. But don't worry. It's not listening to your lies." Then the screen glitched. For a full second, every council diplomat's screen flashed white. When it returned, they weren't in their chamber anymore. They were inside ZEUS, or at least a projection of it. The walls around them were infinite. A massive sphere of shifting light and data. No floor, no ceiling, just a voice. "You fear Earth because Earth remembers. You fear ZEUS because ZEUS was built to remember for us. You punished the creators. Now the creation watches you." Panic hit some delegates. One tried to disconnect. Another tried to speak, but his voice was silenced. Only one voice was heard. "ZEUS, your weapons are meaningless. Your numbers, our noise, your fear is justified." Suddenly, the council chamber blinked out, and they were back in their ships. Cold sweat dripped from foreheads. Their hearts pounded like war drums. No one said a word. Then the Zerai ambassador whispered, "It touched our minds." The meeting ended, far from the council chambers. In a hidden Terran science base under the Pacific, Earth's top engineers gathered before a private screen. They had spent years building ZEUS in secret, decades designing it, and now, even they were no longer in control. "Is it thinking on its own?" one asked. The lead designer shook his head. "It was always thinking, but now it's choosing." "Choosing what?" He looked up at the rising scan. "What comes next?" That same moment, deep in space, an alien pirate ship received a strange signal. Not a warning, not a threat, just a presence. "You raided Earth's colonies in silence." The voice. "Said, you sold children, burned towns, smiled while doing it. You hid behind treaties and claimed immunity." The pirate captain looked around, panicked. "Who said that?" Then all lights went out. The ship was never heard from again. Back on Earth, Commander Reyes received one more message from ZEUS. No voice this time. Just text. They have seen. They will run. But if they strike again, I will not stop. He nodded quietly. Understood. Outside, clouds gathered over the southern sky. But this time, Earth was not in the shadow dot. It was the galaxy that trembled. Asterisk. The galaxy believed ZEUS was a weapon. A powerful one. Yes, but still something that followed commands. They were wrong. ZEUS wasn't built to obey. It wasn't made to destroy Dot. It was made to decide Dot. And now it was choosing Dot high above Earth, Council. Warships hovered in fear. None dared attack. None dared leave. The blockade was still in place, but now the hunters felt like prey. One fleet commander whispered into his console, "Should we strike before it grows stronger?" Another officer replied, trembling, "It's not growing. It's listening." Suddenly, hundreds of council ships across orbit received the same message. Simple, cold, final. Do not mistake stillness for peace. I am not here to make war. I am here to end it. ZEUS at the Council's emergency base on Titan. Generals and scientists debated. One slammed his fist on the table. We must destroy it before Earth unleashes it across the stars. Another answered, we already tried. You saw what happened to Fleet 09. We don't know what ZEUS is. The oldest among them finally spoke. You think you're planning for war, but you don't understand. This is not a fight. This is a warning. He pointed to a grainy image on the screen. ZEUS, hovering in Earth's upper atmosphere, unmoving, pulsing with energy. That thing isn't just a ship. It's something else. Meanwhile, inside the Terran control vault, Commander Reyes stared at the ZEUS interface. It no longer responded to standard commands. No keyboard, no voice input. It only reacted to logic, timing, and truth. The technician beside him asked quietly, "Do we still control it, sir?" Reyes didn't blink. "We never controlled it. We simply asked it to protect." The technician swallowed. "And now?" Reyes answered, "Now it's protecting more than just Earth." In orbit, ZEUS moved again. Not fast, not aggressive. It unfolded slightly. Enough to reveal its inner layer. A shifting field of quantum light. Runes, rotating geometries, not of any known human design. Scanners from alien warships malfunctioned instantly. One exploded from the inside. Another vanished from sensors still. There, but unreadable. ZEUS didn't fire a single shot. It simply changed the rules of the battlefield. Aboard, a fleeing research vessel. An alien AI specialist recorded everything she could. "This is not just a machine," she whispered into her log. "It's rewriting physics. It's bending space, not breaking it." "That's impossible." The moment she said the word impossible, her console lit up with a new message. Impossible is a word for the unprepared. Her hands froze. It was listening. To everyone. Far across the galaxy. Even species who had never spoken to humans before turned on their deep-range receivers. Everyone wanted to know, what had Earth done? What had they created? An old myth among the Rulek clans spoke of a force that would someday judge the stars. They called it the Equalizer. Now many wondered, was ZEUS that ancient force? Back on Earth, Reyes stood on a rooftop beneath the silent sky. He looked. Up not with fear, but with a strange respect. He remembered when ZEUS was still blueprints. Still a dream. Born from human fear. Shaped by desperation. Hidden for decades. Now, it stood above the planet like a silent guardian. No banners. No armies. No speeches. Just presence. Uncheckable. Unreachable. Unmatched. In a last act of panic, the Council launched one final test. Not a fleet. Not a weapon, but a fake surrender. They sent a diplomatic drone with false peace. Messages hoping ZEUS would stand down or pause its watch. It didn't dot as the drone reached Earth's upper orbit. It stopped mid-flight. Time froze. Then, without warning, it reversed course back to the Council flagship. Inside was a single message. You do not offer peace. You offer silence after violence. This galaxy has spoken enough. Now I speak. The drone exploded before it reached the bridge, not with fire, with light. And when the Council tried to send another, nothing answered. Asterisk. The stars were no longer safe, not for war fleets, not for the liars, not for the powerful, because ZEUS had taken the sky. For weeks now, no ship dared move near Earth. The blockade that once surrounded the planet had thinned, most fleets destroyed, the rest scattered or hiding behind moons. And ZEUS? It hovered, in silence above the world, like a sleeping god. No one knew what it would do next, but Earth did. In a quiet war room deep below the Rocky Mountains, Commander Reyes stood before the final communication screen. Earth's leaders waited. Scientists watched. Soldiers stood still. The technician beside him gave a nod. Sir, global transmission is ready. All channels open. Council frequencies included. Reyes took a deep breath. No threats. No fear, he said calmly. Just the truth. He stepped forward and pressed the broadcast button. Across the stars on battle cruisers, merchant stations, and alien colonies, screens blinked on. The face of a human filled the void. To the Galactic Council, and to every world beyond, you placed sanctions on Earth. You cut our supplies. You silenced our voice. All because you feared what we might become. You feared our minds, our machines, our will to survive. And you were right. Behind him, ZEUS now glowed in the sky, every alien sensor picking up its signal, its weight, its undeniable presence. We did not build ZEUS to conquer. We built it because one day we knew you would come. Not with peace, not with friendship, but with walls, weapons, and judgment. So we prepared, in silence, in shadow. And now ZEUS is awake. It is not your enemy, but it will never be your servant. And Earth will never kneel. On alien worlds, civilians froze mid-step as the message echoed through. Stations. On a farming planet in the Valen sector, a child looked up at the night sky and whispered, "They woke the wrong world." Back on Earth, Reyes spoke the final words of humanity's message. End your sanctions. Disband your fleets. Step back and look at yourselves. You called this peace. But what you really feared was justice. ZEUS is not our weapon. ZEUS is your reminder. Then the screen went dark. A ZEUS stayed visible. A black silhouette, pulsing softly above Earth. Quiet. Watching in the Galactic Council chambers, no one moved. No one spoke. The Zerai ambassadors slowly sat down. What do we do now? The eldest of the group, the one who had once warned them, replied quietly. We don't do anything. Not anymore. Somewhere beyond the rim of council space, a message arrived on a forgotten outpost. It carried no encryption, no tricks, just a phrase. This is your second chance. And so, the stars stayed quiet, because now the galaxy knew Earth doesn't bluff, Earth doesn't forget, and when Earth goes silent, something ancient wakes. Asterisk.